I'll say this nice, tell it in a letter, stamp and mail it out. We did our best, couldn't have done better, I think we should be proud. But you held me down when I was living up, back and forth but never together. So I'll stand up and walk out and make my way alone for now. Holy as a ghost, heavy as a feather, pure as the driven snow. But watch your back, it's heartbreak weather, I think it's time you go. My mind's made up, my mind's made up. We keep doing this but nothing's getting better. So I'll stand up and walk out and make my way alone for now. Say you'll find yours in time, but I'm not sure what's yours and what's mine.
Welcome to Dreamland, episode 3, where we get to celebrate, commemorate, and recap Minnesota's inaugural World Cup Championship of 2024. Okay, this I kind of feel is the episode that is going to be the dreaded episode. Yeah, we were just saying before we started recording, this is going to be the nasty episode. We have to look back on what was really painful memories, and then the last two are going to be really good, because the last two are going to be the actual run itself, the actual cup run. But yeah, so this is, of course, the last episode, so you were dreading it. I don't want to just recap, it's just too painful for me. Yeah, a lot of people can say, but you never want to win the cup. At the time, it really did feel like it was. Oh my god. Are we about to literally throw this away? It was just, yeah. So we talked on the last episode about that competitive start for Minnesota, and we left it off with basically going into the World Championship break that year. Pole position. We as a trio then started debating, what do we want to do? Do we want to go for broke and go for the league championship, and that would give us the right to choose our opponent in the semi-finals? Or do we just punch our ticket in and take whatever punches get thrown our way? And it was a complete divide. Yeah. So, the league returned from the World Championships on April the 18th, 2024. And that was also the first game back for Minnesota. They were making their last trip to Montreal. It was their last chance that season to get a win in Montreal. Yeah, we really did struggle in Montreal's party. We did. I mean, Montreal was not a great place for us last year. I mean, Toronto was not a great place either, but we then did get a win in Toronto that season. It's just it happened in the playoffs. Whereas in Montreal, we didn't get any wins at all. It's a really tough building to be in. That building, Montreal, is a really tough building to be in. Mainly because of their fans, which at the same time is great, but also can be annoying from time to time. Or at least it's not like Ottawa. Oh, Ottawa just makes my blood boil. Never mind, no. Yeah, so, it was a big deal that day for a lot of things. Well, for starters, we had a death in the hockey community. Or we did. Was it? Yes. Because I saw it on the way back from when we were in London. On that day, me and Pluto were down in London for my penultimate trip to see Frozen at the West End, because unfortunately, well, that's another death we had last year. Back in February of last year, we were told the news that Frozen was going to be ending its run on the West End after only being there for about 3 years, I think. Yeah, 3 years. So I, of course, loved that show. Wanted to do another trip beforehand, and we went for that day. Yeah, on April 18th, went down, and on the way back from that day out, we were at the train station in London. I was going for a phone, and I noticed on the PWHL socials there were clinching scenarios. Oh god! And these clinches, and I always hate it when we get to this time of year in any in whether it's the NHL or it's any of the hockey leagues. I always hate when we get to that idea because the clinch scenarios, some of them can be really long, really complicated. I'm just like, well, just tell me if they've got an X on their name when I wake up the next day or not. That's how I just feel about it. And well, I think it wasn't just us. I think Toronto also had an opportunity as well. So it was like it was also us, Toronto, and then, but it got really complicated. It was, and I was reading out to you, and neither in the train station, and neither of us could make head or tail of what it was. We just couldn't work it out. So I thought, you know what? It's been a long day. It's going to be an even longer night, because obviously we've got to stay up to watch, obviously, our game against Montreal. Let's just wait to get back home. Let's get Lady in, see if she can make head or tail of it. I'm fine. And I did. You did. So as soon as you two got back in, you explained to me what you'd seen on the socials. I had a look at it, and basically, the way I interpreted it was, all we need is 1 point. There you go. Well, why couldn't they just said that then? Why couldn't they just said in the last year, the clinch scenario, Minnesota needs 1 more point to clinch a playoff berth? Why couldn't it have just been that? Search me. Why couldn't it not have been that? It just says, right, Minnesota just needs 1 more point and they're in. Why couldn't it just been that? Yeah, but that's the way I might make it out of it. Yeah. So we had a nice, so that was a nice event, being in London. But also on that day, we did have a death. And that, of course, was, the Arizona Coyotes officially being relocated to Utah. I saw that on the train back. I was like, oh no. Do you know what I mean? He went to rush and get Howler down. Yes, I did. Because I thought, oh my god, Sharky's going to be, never mind me, Sharky's going to be a complete distraught. And he was. He's still not got over it. Yeah, so a big day that was. A lot of stuff going on. Not quite a great time to then come back for the World Championship. But yeah, so every team coming back from the World Championship last year had 5 games left. Yeah. And for us, it was 1 game against each opponent, each of the inaugural 6. I really love that. I love that. That's the kind of homestand we need when we first go to Minnesota. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. That is the kind of homestand that we need, where it's 5 games, it's all the inaugural 6, done. Yeah, that's the kind of homestand we need. Yeah, but if that fails, we're gonna do each of the inaugural 6 in our own market, so it'd be fine. Yeah. No, I'm just saying. Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying that'd be the ideal homestand. But anyway, we've got plans. We've got plans for that. Anyway, so all we need was just 1 more point in our last 5 games, and we would have been in. Easier said than done, though. Yeah. Easier said than done. Oh, it proved to be a lot easier said than done. I mean, wow. If you were to tell me, going into the World Championship, so before you two went off for World Championships, if you were to say to me, we come back, our team is going to drop 5 in a row in regulation, I would literally would have to bite with in the ankles. Yes, give rabies! Hand out rabies! And me kicking people in the balls. They're like, no! Hello? We're in first place. We only need 1 more point to clinch a playoff berth. You know, plus we've done very well against Ottawa this season. We didn't lose to Ottawa yet at that time. So it's like, what are you talking about? 5 off! Yeah, fuck off! What are you talking about? Yeah. Oh my god, were we not prepared for it? Right, so let's get to Minnesota's first opportunity. So Minnesota's first opportunity to clinch a playoff berth was on the first day back of the World Championships on the 8th of the 18th in Montreal. As we just mentioned, not a great place in Minnesota in the inaugural season. We only just managed to get our first win over Montreal in Montreal this season. It was our only win of February this year. Right, so the first opportunity comes on April 18, visiting PWHL Montreal. It actually was a very, very tight contest, yeah, which saw both teams, I remember, training leads throughout, yeah, and it looked like going into the final couple of minutes, it looked like we were going to hold out. Yeah, we had, there was only a 1-goal lead though. Yeah, we had a 1-goal lead. Montreal went for the extra attacker, and unfortunately they got the tying goal very quickly. Yeah, but I remember when that tying goal came, it was like, on one hand, I was like, ugh. But on the other hand, okay, if it goes overtime, it goes overtime, fine. Yeah. It's one of those rare times where you don't mind a game going into overtime. Yeah. Because we knew at that point, if this game goes beyond regulation, we're in. Yeah, we're in. So, while I was like, ugh, they've tied it. At the same time, I was like, well, okay, fine, let's do it in overtime. We'll get our ticket either way. Yeah. But it was only a couple of seconds after that tying goal that they then get the lead. It was like, oh, why? Yep. It's like, oh god. Because how good would it have been on that first game back for Worlds to then get our playoff berth locked in and not to worry about anything else? Oh yeah, as soon as you get that, as of course us three know from many years in the NHL, as soon as you get that playoff berth locked in, it's a huge relief. Yeah, it's a huge relief because you know you're going to be in. You're going to have at least 7 extra games on the calendar for your team at maximum. Yeah, it's just a huge relief. So you all relief. Yeah, it would have felt so good, you know, because we could then not have to worry about, you know, the other games that are coming up the schedule, like obviously with Toronto, which would going to be a big one. Yeah. Then you got obviously New York, which we're going to play on the penultimate day of the regular season. Yeah. So, yeah, it would have been great, but unfortunately, alas, yeah, it did not happen. So, the second opportunity came, let's see. Yeah, two days later. So 2 days after that came Minnesota's second shot to clinch. This time, they were in Ottawa. Now, up to that point, we had yet to lose a single game to Ottawa. Right. We've yet to lose Ottawa. Although, I think UT would like to point out, yeah. You did. Yeah. While at that point we had been unbeaten against Ottawa, the games against Ottawa were not easy. At various points in some of those games, Ottawa did have, like, the lead. And would have, like, a multi-goal lead. Yeah, and then we would find a way to rule back. What I've noticed during this season and last season in this season in Ottawa is the Charge tend to get the first goal of the game. Yeah, they do. They do. It's very rare whenever it's Frost v Charge for the Frost to get the first goal of the game. Which, if against a team like Ottawa, you don't want to do. No. Because you then are basically forced to basically chase the rest of the game. Whereas with everybody else, you have a fair shot to come back in it. With Ottawa, I feel like as soon as they get that first goal, you're chasing the rest of the game. And you've got to rake most of every opportunity you can get. Otherwise, it could be one of those tightly 1-goal contests. Yeah. So while obviously the record showed that Minnesota had yet to be beaten by Ottawa weren't pushovers. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Ottawa were not pushovers. It's just we made the most obviously in those games. So, and with the pressure on us more than on Ottawa, I kind of felt would we see something different? Well, I was not expecting the next result, because the next result was a shutout loss. Yeah, this was bad. That was really bad. Ottawa found their offense in that game. And they played spoiler and shut us out at 4-0. Again, like with the Montreal situation, it's like it's hard to make, isn't it? I think for Ottawa, they were probably just relieved to get that, because I don't know what their record was against other D1 teams last year. Neither do we. No. But you don't want to end the first season with not getting at least one win against everybody. No. You want to have at least one win against everybody, so you know that going into future years, you know you've got a fair chance against everybody. Yeah. And for us, we knew it was going to come at some point against Ottawa. Yeah, we knew we were going to suffer a loss to Ottawa against them at some point. It's just, was that really the moment it should happen? Would it be better if it was one of the previous meetings, and then we could go into this one, okay, we don't have that hanging over our shoulder, we should go out there and play the game, and then hopefully, get the, yeah. But it's interesting how, I'm not sure we really had any sort of push in that game. Yeah, it was just like, it was pretty much all Ottawa, to all of our surprises, because nobody would have thought Ottawa would have been able to do that against Minnesota. Yeah. Because up to that point, Minnesota had been a really strong contending team, and Ottawa had been completely like a yo-yo. They still are. I know, they still are. Could you imagine if we had chosen Ottawa as our team? Our heart rates would be through the roof. You'd probably be dead by now. Well, charming! You have said, though, if I ever do get murdered, you would stand up in my funeral and say how I died. You would. You would do it! You would get up! You're not doing a funeral, you're doing a preservation. Oh, yes, of course, sorry. So at my preservation, you would get... He's always said this, right? At my preservation, you would... If I was murdered, you would stand up and say who did it. Well, I basically would say the cause of death. Right, well, I guess we know who's not doing the obituary then. No, lady can do the obituary. I'm not having Pluto do it. He's going to then segue into it. Right, and here's how he died. Well, way to go, that would be, though. His hockey team set his heart rate through the roof. Died watching the Frost take on the charge. Ottawa killed him. I do feel for Ottawa fans, though. I mean, it can't be easy to have a team that literally is so inconsistent. Yeah, so inconsistent. I mean, I know from right now what my shots go through. Following a team that is constantly losing night and out is not great either, but at least you know the consistency's there, and you're not having to go, well, Yeah, but I honestly do feel for the Charge fans. How hard must it be to follow a team that is just literally so inconsistent? Yeah. How did this then swerve into talking about my death and preservation? How did we swerve to that? How did we swerve into that? How did we go from talking about this game against Ottawa to now talking about my preservation? Where did that go? Blame me, started it. I did not. You did start it. You started it. Where did that go? Right. I'm sure Charge fans one day you'll have consistency, and you can look back on these early years and go, oh, well, wasn't that bad after all, was it? Like how we can now go, well, actually, that World Championship skin wasn't too bad after all. We ended up winning the whole damn thing. Anyway, that game was a complete write-off. We weren't really comparing that at all. Right. So, 3 to go. Still needed one more point. But this is then when things then started to get interesting. Because at that point, I'm not sure Boston were really still in it. No. And then, this is when things started to shift, and it looked like Ottawa might end up falling out of the playoff picture. And so the team returned home on April the 27th when they would play PWHL Boston, who basically would try to get back in. Boston going into the World Championships break were pretty much on the outside looking in, but unlike New York, who were dead and buried, Boston still had a chance. Well, we thought coming back to the World Championships, it was going to be us, Toronto, Montreal lock in, and then Boston and Ottawa fight for the last spot, and chances are whoever gets in would most likely get picked by a league champion as their opponent. That's what we thought. That is literally what we all thought. And oh no, did things change? Did things change indeed? So this game was important not just for us, but also for Boston, because for Boston, if they could get any kind of points out of it, that would keep what was at the time their slim hopes alive. Can I just say something about Boston? Boston did not have the easiest schedule coming out of the World Championships last year. No. And yet they still found a way to clinch their spot and get their berth and do it without needing any assistance. Because they had to come against Montreal, which is not easy. Nope. And who would have thought that would be a playoff preview? Yep. So I had to admire Boston for what they did last year, finding a way to get back in, when most people probably think, you're in 5th place, Sean Yacht's looking in, there's no way Minnesota's going to falter, no way Toronto's going to falter, you'll be lucky you can get the last spot. So with this game, it was another tight battle, especially you had Aaron Frankel going in the net for Boston, the Green Monster. So, it was a really tightly fought game. Now, I had a feeling going into this contest, it was going to be one of those nights, because it always is with Boston. It's very rare that a Frost Fleet game ends up being a lopsided result. You look at more maybe like a 2-goal difference, potentially at most, but it's normally just a 1-goal game that either gets decided regulation or in overtime. It's very rare that either side gets like a lopsided result. So I had a feeling this was going to be a tight game, which didn't help because there was only 3 games left, and it's like, this is getting serious now. Boston's making a push. Ottawa is literally being up and down. What are we doing? We only need 1 point. We only need 1 point. So, this game, it was also our last home game of the season. It was. So that added even more pressure because you think, right, what's the best way to clinch your spot in the playoffs? Well, do it on home ice. But again, easier said than done. That's what we should have called this episode today, but too late now. So it was ended up being a really, really tight game. It was there wasn't that much scoring in it. It was only about 1-1. Both sides were literally locked at 1 apiece. And I think also the broadcast team were keeping an eye on what's going on out of town. Yes, because I think Ottawa playing as well. I can't remember who they were playing, but Ottawa's playing as well, and the broadcast team kept an eye on that. Because obviously that would have had a huge implication for Boston. Because if Ottawa had lost that, it would give Boston the opportunity to then sneak back in the race. And Ottawa did lose it. They did lose that game. That result came just before ours ended. So this game is tied at 1. You go to the dying seconds of regulation. All we have to do is just cling on. Okay. Again, it was like with Montreal. If it has to be in overtime, fine. Because it goes overtime, we're in. And in the dying seconds, like kid you not, in the dying seconds, Hannah Brand, sorry, not Hannah Miller. Hannah Brand, sorry. In the dying, I'll start again. In the dying seconds of regulation, Hannah Brandt gets the winner with how many seconds was it? 2 seconds. 2 seconds to go. Gets the game winner, breaks the deadlock, and basically denies us the opportunity to clinch that berth on home soil. And it also ends our a bit of a sour note to end our final ever home game of the regular season. Now, can I ask you two something? Was this the game that saw Boston clinch their playoff berth? Because I think it was. Oh, yes. Absolutely, yeah. Boston knew they need to get at least any 4 points out of this game to stand a chance of getting back in. And they did it. They did it, yeah. And I think we did say it during the start of the World Cup playoffs. If it had not been for that game, Boston would not be in. It probably would have been Ottawa facing Montreal in the other semi-final. Would Montreal still have been swept? We'll never know. No. Yeah. Look, because you're right, Boston did not have an easy schedule coming out of the World Championship. They had a couple of games against Montreal, which is not easy to do. So the fact that they got the regulation win here, I stand by. If this game had not gone the way it was for Boston, I don't think Boston gets in. I honestly don't think Boston would have then clinched. I think Boston would have been out. It would not. It would have been a very tall order for Boston. Which then makes you wonder, would everything still then play out the way it was? I don't know. And again, don't think about it. No. Yeah. But that was a really tough game to swallow, because it was a really tight game. Both sides played brilliantly. Yeah. And you kind of felt that both sides should have been rewarded by going into overtime, and then they both get a point. Yeah. But no. Sadly not to be. No. Sadly not to be. Now, things did not get any better. No. Things did not get any better, because the playoff race now turned into a three-horse battle between us, Ottawa, and Boston. And our penultimate game of the regular season was at Toronto. Now, before we went to the World Championship break, I said that this game was going to be a crucial one, because this game most likely would decide who is going to be the league champions. Yes, because at that time, we were first place. I think Toronto was second. Yeah. Not far behind. So like they are this going to the World Championships this season, because I was recording this before during the World Championships break. Yeah. So I kind of felt going into the Worlds last year, this game against Toronto is going to decide who is going to win the league. Is it us? Is it Toronto? And of course, a reminder, whoever wins the league crown gets to choose their opponent in the semi-finals of the World Cup playoffs between the 3rd place team and the 4th place team. And by that point, that was when we realised, oh shit. Yeah, because we talked on the last episode, when the playoff structure was announced, we got confused. We didn't realise it was over between the 3rd and 4th place team. We thought everybody was available. So, it was not after our chances that we realised, oh shit, we've made a mistake. And of course, the way things were going was like, oh fuck, they could easily pick us. Because Toronto had basically pretty much done better against us in the regular season series. So, oh god, yep. Just to make things worse, yep. And as we rightly thought, this game was going to be the game that decided the league championship, because Toronto just needed to get a winner. Toronto just needed to get the win, and they would be crowned the inaugural league champions. And get that win, they did. They won the game very convincingly, 4-1 over the Frost. Yeah, that was just... Well, games against Toronto last year were not kind to us. No. But I think it's been great how this year we've managed to now do a lot better against Toronto. We won the season series. We've only won 2 regular season series this year. One against Boston, and the other was against Toronto. Montreal and New York won won the regular season against us. With Ottawa, because obviously we're recording this during the World Championship break. We've still got one game with Ottawa to go. With Ottawa, it'll either be the Chargers will take the season series or we'll tie it. Let's see how it goes in a couple weeks' time. Yeah, we've done a lot better at Toronto. I also done a lot better in Toronto this year than we did last year. Because last year, the games in Toronto were not competitive. No, they were not competitive. And yet, did we take 2 of the 3 in Toronto this year? Yes. We could have taken all 3. I know. Ready fast! Ready Renata! Yeah. Easily could have taken all 3 in Toronto this year, but of course we'll no. Yeah. But last season it was a real struggle against Toronto, which is why we kind of feel a bit sort of sicky feeling about the thought that Toronto could potentially take us in the semi-finals. It would just be an easy path for Toronto, given how we I'm trying to think to last year. Did we only get 1 win against Toronto last year? I can't remember. Well, we definitely won the first matchup. But I don't recall how many matches we played against everybody last year. No, because obviously it was only 24 games, and I don't think it was an even schedule between all 5. Okay, don't worry about that. Yeah, don't worry about that. Just yeah. But that was hard because it now meant all the pressure was on this last game against New York, who was a team that pretty much had nothing left to lose. Yeah. And you could be surprised what people can do when they've got nothing left to lose. Yeah. And the thing about New York, okay, they did not have a great first year last year. But, oh my god, those last few games. The broadcast team said it, and us 3 said it. If there had been 5 more games last season, New York could have been a playoff team. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it was towards the end of the year, but they found their stride. They found their groove, they found their rhythm, and they caused ruckus. They took down Ottawa, and they took down us. They won the last 2 of the 16. Yeah. On home, yeah. So, New York, in that last stretch, they were up for causing drama. They were up for causing commotion. And, wow, it was, But I kind of felt the regular season series with New York last year was a bit of a topsy-turvy. It was never really... Neither side really had a footing in that. Yeah, neither side really had a footing in that. It was always like, one side would get dominant one game and the other would switch the other. So it was like, you just couldn't tell what was going on. So actually, this was not a great opponent to have for your last game of the season. And when you need that 1 point to get in the playoffs. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Now, here's the situation. So yeah, so May 4th. So, for those that celebrate it, Star Wars Day. Why don't you celebrate it? You prefer Star Wars tomorrow. I can't be bothered. Plus, I only like a certain time period of Star Wars, so anyway. Yes. Take a look, boys and girls. Are we really doing this? Yeah. Are we really doing this? Yeah. This, boys and girls, is somebody who enjoys watching the prequels. I like the prequel trilogy. Fuck off. Yeah, but no one else likes them. Well, I don't think anyone likes the sequel trilogy either. So, what do you do there? Yeah. But I like the prequels, and when the sequel trilogy was starting, I insisted, because obviously I hadn't watched any Star Wars before then. I insisted that I'll only watch the previous films if I do it in chronological order. Because if you know about me, right, I don't care if the prequels are set before the original. If something has got if a film has a number next to its title, okay, then I'm sorry, I'm going to insist on watching it in that order, okay? So I don't care if episodes 4, 5, and 6 come first. There are episodes 1, 2, and 3. I'm watching them first, and then I'll come to episodes 4, 5, and 6. And I got my way in the end, didn't I? Where at first we tried to talk you out of it. It was like, no, if you're gonna drag me to see this film at Christmas, I am watching the others in my preferred order, or you can go and get fucked. I'm not sure I said it quite like that. Well, your eyes said it. Okay, for me, I do prefer Star Wars to Marvel, but for me, I only prefer stuff that's set before the original trilogy. So anything set between the prequels to before the start of Episode 4, that's my preferred era of Star Wars. So May the 4th, we're in New York. We're in Long Island, Connecticut. Long Island, right, okay. I'm not sure we played in Connecticut last year. Well, one of the games we had to miss against New York. Why? Because I was at Sooty. Oh, yes. Yes. New York was the bulk of our matinees last year. I remember now. Yes, I remember now. Yeah. You were at Sooty. And you had... I don't think we got back till probably early evening. No. So by that point, the game was already underway. So, yeah. So we had to miss that one. Yeah. And of course, I don't think we knew about the replays, did we? No, because at the time they didn't have them. It was no. The replays didn't come in till towards the end of the season. They're all out there, so we can find that game back and rewatch it. But yeah, the replays didn't come towards the end of the season. Whereas this year the replays have been a little bit better. This year they have last year. Okay, thank you. Yeah. No, but New York gave us the bulk of our matinees last year. This year's been Toronto, which is fine, but just saying. Yeah. So, New York had nothing left to lose. They were out of the playoffs. They was at that point they'd already won the gold plan. Yes. Yeah. When they played Ottawa and New Jersey, that's when they closed the gold plan. Right. So they already had the gold plan. So literally in this game, what was there to play for New York apart from pride? There you go. They had nothing to lose, as you've rightly pointed out. But when somebody's got nothing to lose, they are at their most deadly. And we saw it with New York. They were deadly. And they just rode away. I'm going to need it. Hold on. Yeah, they rode the way. Yeah, they rode it out. Yeah. They rolled it. They were dominant. And they ended up taking the game. Look like that. Yeah. 5-2. So New York won it convincingly 5-2. You like the Ottawa, just worry it. Now, here's the problem. That was a matinee game. Later in the night, Boston and Montreal went head to head. And if Boston won that game, they clinched. And what happened? Boston won the game. So it's like, oh my god. Happy for Boston. Yeah. Boston fans, no, don't come at us. Happy for you. But at the same time, it's like, oh my god, at one point it was all set in stone. What the fuck has happened? Yeah. We could be 24 hours away from literally throwing it all away. Yeah, it would not have been a very pretty summer. Nope, it would not. No, it would not. Yeah, because you spend the first 3 quarters of the season literally in the top 3. Up there as contender to be a potential playoff team. And now you looked at it after World Championships. 5 games, 5 losses, 5 regulation losses. What the hell happened? What the hell had happened between the World Championships and coming back from on April 18th? What had happened? What the fuck happened? It was like watching a completely different team. It's like, where was this? What was going on? Yeah. And only the Boston and Montreal one did we actually look competitive, look like the team that we had been. The other 3, it was complete pushovers. Yeah. It was like, what was going on? So literally, our fate was now out of our hands. Because the next day was the last day of the regular season. Ottawa were in Toronto. And all eyes were firmly on that game. So, going into that last day of the season, there's only one game to follow. PHL Ottawa travelled to PWHL Toronto with Minnesota on 35 points. Ottawa on 32. Do not ask me how the tiebreakers work, because I can't do it. But all you need to know is a regulation win for Ottawa would have done the business. They would have got in, and probably I think Toronto would have then chosen them. Maybe, or no, maybe Boston. Because I don't think Toronto did well against Ottawa. So I think if Ottawa got in over odds, I think Toronto would have taken Boston and make Montreal play Ottawa. I think that's how it would have been. Okay, well, we'll never know, though. We'll never know. Yeah, so, basically for us, all we needed was the game to go into overtime, because that would have meant that Ottawa would not let us get the 3 points they needed to get the final berth. Yeah. Yeah, so it was basically either Toronto wins in any fashion, or it goes to overtime. That's it. Done. Now, are we going to talk about how we were following this? Yes. Okay, to put it in context. Yeah. So, throughout the inaugural season, we had only watched our team's games. The only time in last season did we watch other games was the takeover weekend. Yeah. So now, I don't think either of us were up for this. Now, we were not up for watching it. We could have watched it, but we were like, no, because it would have been too stressful, and probably somebody would have had a heart attack. Not saying who, but somebody might have died. So yeah, but I kind of now over in the AHL. There's only one Stanley Cup going on that time, and it was Game 7 between Dallas and Vegas. And I'm like, these are two teams that I do not want to fucking watch. What the fuck do we do? Because there are two choices. We could either stay up and have that game on, and I follow what's going on with Toronto, or we come to bed and we spend the whole night restlessly worrying, had we not done the business? Yeah. Well, there was no option. We had to stay up because you can't sleep. I'll admit, since my late teens, I have had real problems with sleeping. We have tried lots of things over the years, but I do have serious problems with sleep. So we decided it'd be better to just stay up. That way, we can keep an eye on what's going on and then get the news immediately, rather than we just literally come up. I'm tossing and turning. I can't sleep. You two are then probably also like completely like, George, can you check your phone? George, can you check your phone? We would not have done that. You would, because obviously when we come to bed, I bring my phone to charge because it's easier to charge it up here in our bedroom rather than downstairs. Yeah. Yes, every night before we come to bed, I make sure to plug my phone in so it's charged. So I can imagine if we did try to get to sleep, you two would probably thinking, George, can you check your phone? George, can you check your phone? It's like, no, and I'm like, no, I don't want to, go to bed. So we decided we were going to stay up. I'll put that Stanley Cup game on, but I wasn't going to watch it. No. So the poll pack were down. Oh my god! I don't think that we were friends with them that night because I think they couldn't cope with our stress. Yeah, we were just like bags of nerves. We were literally completely like all over the place. We were having fits. But you have to understand at that point, how did it go from being potentially a cup contender to potentially now crashing and burning on the last day of the season? And if we had not qualified, it would have been a really long off-season. I mean, it was regardless, but it would have been very long, because we would have spent the whole summer going, literally, on a tirade. There would be hissy fits, there would be cursing, there would be swearing. Glasses would be thrown across rooms. Yeah. Plates being stomped on, we were gone all Greek. Yeah. No, they smashed them first, then they stomp on them. Okay, fine, that's it. Yeah. But it was not a pretty moment. No. So I put the Dallas Vegas game on, so I had it in the background. But I thought I really don't want to watch this game. So what should I do? Right, I've got my phone with me. I'll distract myself with some YouTube and some Spotify. Yeah. And then that way, I can then be on standby, ready to go on the PWHL socials as soon as that game is finished. Yeah. So, when the game had finished, I went on, between Ottawa and Toronto, I went on to the PWHL socials. I got the result. And this was my reaction when I got the result. Oh! Yeah. Oh! Oh! Oh my god. Oh god. Now, that was not the best reaction for us to... No! No, it wasn't, because you two couldn't tell. What? Are we in? Are we out? Are we in? Are we out? No. I should have done the jubilation, but not shock. Yeah, that was the wrong. Looking back, that was the wrong reaction I gave because it was like you two could work out. What? Are we in? Are we in? Are we in? I only read the results, which of course, obviously, Toronto got the win in regulation. Ottawa's out. We're in, and we just then spent the rest of the night in floods of tears. Yeah, we did. Never mind April showers. It was more May waterfalls for us three. Yeah. Because that was the first of many in the month of May. That was the first of many. But we just couldn't believe it. Out of nowhere. Yeah. Yeah. Because if Ottawa had won that game and got in, then fair dues, you can't take it away from them. No, we would have gone, well done, Ottawa. And then, fire Kenckley! Yeah, that would have been what would made us go, shoot Kenckley! Yeah. But thankfully no. And we still don't mind having Kenckley, whereas no others would like to basically shoot him. We don't want to yet, Ken. You've not ticked us off just yet. There's still time, but not right now. You're in our good books for now. Which is actually a nice change for me. I get to be nice to a coach in my team. It's a very weird feeling. I don't know how to make of it. It's been 2 years now. I know, right? Yeah. Don't you know how we feel? Yeah, but you two got Stanley Cup rings to your names, so it's easy for you to love your coaches. Anyway, yeah, so we just basically spent the rest of that night in floods of tears because we couldn't believe we'd done it. We'd clinched in. And just the relief. We could go to bed, just feel like, oh, thank God, we've done it. We're in. We're in. Doesn't matter what happens now, we're in. Because with last year being the first ever World Cup playoffs, you want to have that honour. Yeah. I know Ottawa and New York will probably feel, oh, why didn't we get to be that? I know, guys. But you want to have that honour be able to say that your team was in the first ever playoffs of the Professional Women's Hockey League. Yeah. You wanted that honour on your belt. Even if you didn't then go on to win the World Cup, you wanted to have that honour under your belts. Yeah. And the fact we were going to get that was just great. Now, the problem with waiting until the last day of the regular season to get your playoff spot clinched, it meant that we didn't have that big of a... And we'll talk about this more on the next show. But it meant we didn't have that long of a turnaround between the end of the regular season and what would be game one of the World Cup playoffs. No. Are we going to talk about the pick this one? No, next one. Okay, start of next one. Right. Be a bit quick to the start of the next one, then we'll go... Right, okay. So you can hold your thoughts for that one next time, okay? Yeah, okay, good boy. Yeah. But talking about the night of clinching, I think a small part of us really knew we were going to get Toronto. Yeah. A small part of us probably knew, deep down, Toronto was going to choose us. Yeah. Because they would have looked at us and thought that would be the easy option. Yeah. Especially as Montreal was protected by being the number 2 spot. Because Montreal, it's so weird how last season the Big 12 didn't get a single win against the Sectors. Not even in the neutral like Eric Clark's about. That has the record for most fans in a women's hockey game. Yeah. And then you cross-reference to this season, the Big 12 found a way to beat the Scepters multiple times. Yeah. Well, it's complete. Well, that shows how competitive the league is. You could be doing badly against one team last year, and you do great against this. Look at Ottawa this year. I mean, would you expect Ottawa to have taken 3 of the 6 meetings between us so far? No. But we have really struggled with Ottawa this year. Last year was Toronto. This year's Ottawa. And New Jersey. We did do it on New Jersey this year, really. Yeah, but I think Ottawa's more stinging than Fridays. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. Yeah. So I think the Palmers knew that it was going to be very likely Toronto was going to choose us because they thought it's the better route to get, it's the easier route to get into the finals. But at the time, we didn't think that. No. We allowed that night to be, thank God we're in. Let's worry about what happens next tomorrow. Yes. Don't dwell on tomorrow. Make the most of today. You're in, celebrate it. You're in, just make the most of this little celebration, and then tomorrow, right, the work begins, and you've got to enter the mind frame of the World Cup playoffs. Especially for you two, because obviously we're going to talk more about it on the next time. But for these two, the World Cup playoffs was a very different kind of playoffs for them compared to the Stanley Cup. And this is when my experience of being involved with an AHL team was going to come in handy, because I know how best of 5 series works. I've seen plenty of best of 5 series in the AHL. I know how they work, so I know that all the mentality that you go through in that series. It's a shorter series than a best of 7 is, which of course you understood yourselves very quickly last year. But the mentality is different, and I had to basically for the semi-finals, I had to basically prep you 3. Sorry, you 2. Yeah, out of us 3, I felt you 2 I had to prep the most, because I had the advantage of, well, it's like the early rounds of the Cold Cup players in the AHL. So yeah, we had a lot to learn. It was a really, really short space of time that we were time. Yep. So but we can talk about that on the next show. We can talk about that on the next show. It was not a great last couple of weeks. I mean, how many weeks was that? If we look back, so it was April the 18th. The league returned, and May the 5th was the last game of the regular season. So let's just work it out. So at least it was about 2 weeks. Yeah, it's 2 weeks. Yeah, it was 2 weeks, which is more compared to this year. I know, right? I can't believe. I can't believe this year, when we get back from World Championships, which is the 26th, April 26th, Super Saturday. That's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fun. Yeah. And it's what, a week? Yeah, because the last day of the regular season, which we are going to be playing this year, we're going to be in Boston that day. That is May the 3rd, so it's 1 week, and then the playoffs begin May 6th. Crazy, right? It just makes you think why come back at all? Why not just get the regular season done before Worlds, and then you come up with Worlds and just go straight to playoffs? Well, it's because of all the amount of gaps we've had this year. I know we don't. 30 games was not enough. Not just in terms of playing games in the regular season, but also the fact you had these lengthy breaks. You had a Euros break before Christmas. Yeah. You had the Rivalry Series beginning of February. You got the World Championships in April. And then every team had a bye week and also had a mandatory 10 days off. Yeah. Which really messed up our rhythms. I know. We did not come out swinging even of our rest periods, which we needed to do. Yeah. Didn't happen. Right. So it's like, so they have got to be consistent for next season, especially if we're going to have more teams join. They have got to eliminate these lengthy gaps. It's not right. It literally every team this season at some point has gone on a lengthy road trip. It's been dreadful. I know, right? Because at one point at the start of the back in January, we were actually feeling really sorry for the Boston Fleet because they hardly were at home. And then as the months then weeks progressed, it wasn't just them, it was also other teams, and then also we then got hit with it, end of February, beginning of March, because obviously beginning of March we had the Takeover Tour in Raleigh, Takeover Tour in Detroit, then we also had road games in Toronto, Montreal, Ottawa. Yeah, it was dreadful. Yeah. No. Yeah, they've got to sort it out next year with terms of scheduling. Either you need to schedule more games to put against the calendar, or you tighten up the amount of breaks everyone gets. I don't mind everybody having at least one bye week. That's fine. I have no problem if you give each team a bye week every week. But maybe do it all at the same time. Yeah, rather than it's like this team goes off that week, then this team goes off that week. It just knocks it off out of it. Yeah. In the AHA, it would normally be the bye would be everyone would do it towards the same time, or it'd be towards the All-Star weekend. Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, honestly, it's crazy how we're going to come back from World Championships, and then on April 26th, it's 1 full week of regular season play, then, oh my god, World Cup players are here, and then before you know it, the season's going to be done. And then it's a long. They get it! Long summer. They get it, Basil! You'll be here all night at this rate. Yeah, so... Oh my god. And everything that happened last year post-World Championships still does plague the Purple Trio's mind. Yeah. I know a lot of people would say, why do you still, lament on that? You ended up winning the World Cup. And I'm like, yeah, but you were in our shoes when this was happening. Yeah. Yeah, because we were really starting to get proper stressed out. Yeah, we were. I could feel our stress levels were rising because it felt like this was in our hands, and it's now slipping. It's slowly slipping away. Yeah, and it just. Yeah. I mean, we'll never know what happened. We'll never know. We'll never know. But it does still plague us, particularly these two. When the schedules came out for this season back in October, these two were just a complete... When they saw how the games got asked World Championships, they're like, oh my god. We were in complete distraught. So it's like, 3 games? 3 games after the World Championships? Are you mad? That's not enough time to then try and lock in the playoff spot. And given how every team is still in play. That's crazy. Every team, even New York are still in play. Even New York are mathematically still in play. It's slim. Yes, it's slim for them, but they are technically still in play. Because you never know. You never know. You never know. Boston could end up doing what we did. Toronto could do what we did. Right now, only Montreal is safe because only Montreal clinched a playoff berth before going to World Championships. But everybody else, it's fair game. So if you think your team going into World Championships is now safe, then you're going to get a very rude awakening come April 26th. We saw it last year, so we're the best ones to give advice on that, on how to survive post-World Championships, because obviously we've been through it. Yeah. And still got the scars! Yeah. But you two, when we come back from Worlds, are really worried about these last 3 games, because you're very worried that history is going to repeat itself. Yeah. And actually, when you think about it, our Frost have not got an easy schedule back. We've got April 26th, we have our final home game of the season against New York. We have not done well against New York this season. We've only won 1 game. Or was it 2 games? I don't know now. Oh my god. New York, 2 or 1. I think it might only be 1. I remember the one on before Christmas. That's what we did win. But the others, I don't think we have. Oh god. Yeah. Then on May 1st, we're going to be in Ottawa. Yep. We've not done well at Ottawa this season at all. We're really scared about that. And the other day, you said, I don't want to say this. Don't say it! I don't want to say this. But you said that could be the game that decides who's going to get the last playoff spot. I did. You jinxed it. I said it. I really said it. Yeah. I don't want it to be, but it kind of feels like that. Yeah. And then we finished the regular season on May the 3rd, which is the last day of the regular season. We're going to be in Boston. So I feel of those three, that's the only game where I feel confident. Yeah. Whether or not it'll be done in regulation or overtime, who knows? But I feel that's the one where I'm confident. But hopefully by that point, we were already taking care of business. Yeah. Hopefully. Yeah. But I said, yeah. But last year's World Championships, it played on the back of our minds because, you know, me and Lady went to far that for the first time ever. It was a great couple of weeks. We come back, ready to go for the final stretch, and then it just completely turns into an effing nightmare. So, yeah, but I think that's always going to plague us, though, don't you think? Just to finish off? Yeah. I think that's, even though, yes, we did win the World Cup last year, what happened post-Worlds is always going to be at the back of our minds, because this very easily could have slipped away. Yeah. I mean, how do you go from being in pole position going into the World Championships break to then potentially crashing and burning post the World Championships break? Yeah. And all you need was 1 point. Yeah. All you need was 1 point. We said at the time, during the Montreal Boston games, we wouldn't mind if it goes to overtime, because that means we get the point we're in. Yeah. Then if we lose the remaining games, we lose the remaining games, but at least we're going to be in. I won't have that stress. No. Yeah. But it was just, I don't want to ever go for that ever again. Well, you might. Given how competitive this league is, I know, you might, yeah. But, yeah. Our stress levels on that just went through the roof. So this was always not going to be a great episode to look back onto the music, but we had to do it because that was a part of the road to victory. Done. And now the rest of it we get to have nice stuff. Yeah, because the last 2 episodes now are obviously on the actual run to the World Cup, which had some very wonderful memories. Okay, it was a very eventful World Cup playoff run for Minnesota, but we had lots of great memories. We did, so we're going to really look forward to look back on those 2 on the next ones. Yeah, so next time we get to recap and look back on the World Cup semi-final matchup against Toronto. Yeah, but to finish off this one, World Championships 2024 is always going to plague the back of the minds of the Purple Trio.
I'll say this nice, tell it in a letter, stamp and mail it out. We did our best, couldn't have done better. I think we should be proud, but you helped.